Good evening. This is Lorenzo Big Fleming. I am your host of Veteran Speaks, one of the channels on Black Rebel Radio. This show is dedicated to all the veterans, past and present, who served our country so that we may be free and be able to enjoy our freedoms. Like I said, I like this intro so much. It's one of my favorite movies, Patton, starring George C. Scott as the enigmatic World War II General George S. Patton, commander of the Third Army and the Seventh Army. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. Like I said, I've served over 15 years of active duty in the United States Army from 1986 to 1989. I decided to get out of the Army, go to IR from 89 to 1993. Then, after years of being a full-fledged civilian, I had a daughter, jobs, bills, and everything else. I decided to rejoin the Army back in November 2002 until July 30th, 2014. I've served in many different duty stations: Fort Lewis, Washington, Vilseck, Germany, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, Fort Irwin, California, and Yongsan, Seoul, South Korea. I've also did 2 combat tours in Iraq in 2004 to 2005 and 2006 and 2007 for Operation Iraqi Freedom. And also I did a 6-month contingency deployment in Kuwait at Camp Arif John. Well, like I said, this show is set up for veterans who would like to get some information that they might know from different media outlets and different sources, as well as for those who might not know some things out there pertaining to veterans, and also for non-veterans, who doesn't understand what we veterans go through and what we deal with on a daily basis, and also as an outlet to express your views on certain topics relating to veterans or general topics, general public, like the news, weather, sports, whatever that case may be. This is your outlet, folks. Like I said, if you want to talk about something, or if you want to express your opinions or share your views on certain topics that we might discuss on this show, you can do it at blackrebelradio@gmail.com and put in the subject line Veterans Speaks. Well, now, as I introduce myself, and like I say, you see me for more future episodes, we'll go ahead and get this show rolling here. All right, folks. I don't know if you heard about the issues about veterans who have other than honorable discharge because of behavior issues, legal issues, or whatever the case may be. Well, this might help. Come effective July 5th or 5 July, if you're still in the military parlance like I am, all Veterans Health Administrative Medical Centers will be prepared to offer emergency medical health stabilization care for former service members with an other than honorable or OTH administrative discharges for an initial period up to 90 days. This will include inpatient, residential, or outpatient care. During this time, the VAH and the Veterans Benefits Administration will work together to determine if the mental health condition is a result of a service-connected or service-related injury, making the service member eligible for ongoing coverage for that condition. Veterans, and I say again veterans, and you know who you are. If you're in crisis, you should call this Veterans Crisis Line number at 800-273-8255, press 1, or use your smartphone with the dial same number and text 838255. Again, that's 800-8273-8255 and press 1. And on your smartphone, you can text the number 838255. Make sure you take advantage of this. Also, there's something I know has been bugging a lot of veterans for a lot of years, why we're not getting an opportunity to shop at the exchange if we're veterans or whatever. Well, I guess our prayers have finally been answered. Starting this Veterans Day, of course, it's November 11th, of course, all honorably discharged veterans of all military services of the U.S. Armed Forces. Of course, it was Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guards, including the National Guard and Reserve components, will be able to access tax-free online shopping privileges at all military exchanges, including the exchange, formerly AFIS, Army Air Force Exchange Service, NEX, the Navy Exchange, and NEX. I guess that's how they say it for the Marine Corps, MCX, Marine Corps Exchange. For all you Marine veterans, I apologize if I said it wrong, so I don't want you to try to scuff me up over it, but you kind of get my idea. So, eligible veterans can purchase nearly all products on the Exchange Services online retail websites, with the exception of uniforms, alcohol, and tobacco products. And like I say, if you want to check this out, check out Military One Source website, which is Military One Source, that's all one word, .mil, for future updates and information, or you can call this number toll free at 800-342-9647. Again, that's 800-342-9647. And again, the website is Military One Source, which is one word, .mil. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break here, and we'll be right back with Veteran Speaks. Well, we're back again here on Veteran Speaks here on Black Rebel Radio. And like I said, you can check out all the shows. There are several shows that I host on Black Rebel Radio. So check out the website, www.blackrebelradio, that's one word, .com. That's www.blackrebelradio, one word, .com. And also, you can contact us on Facebook, facebook.com/Black Rebel Radio, or you can tweet us on Twitter with the hashtag Black Rebel Radio. And also, this show will be shown on YouTube. Same thing, look for Black Rebel Radio on YouTube. Now, let's get back to our regular scheduled show here. Throwing in a little humor here. So I apologize if my humor is a little dry. This is my first episode for Veteran Speaks, but it will get better over time, so I ask you to bear with me. So continue on with all the latest and greatest information pertaining to all our veterans. For those who've been married and unfortunately had dealt with divorce and deal with the issues that come with divorce for being in the military, like I said, you know who you are. Luckily, it's not me, but this might be helpful for you or for somebody you know. There's a victory for vets. The U.S. Supreme Court unanimously ruled on May 15th in the case of Howell v. Howell that state court cannot offset the loss of a divorced spouse's portion of a veteran's retirement benefits when the veteran waives retirement pay in favor of disability pay. Until 2003, disabled veterans had to choose either their retirement compensation from the military or their VA disability with reduced retirement annuities. This penalty became known as the VA offset. And of course, veterans who are collecting VA disability probably heard of that term, especially if they are in the Army Reserves. They'll hear that term also, where you can't draw both Army Reserve pay and VA disability. You have to choose to either waive one or the other. So this holds true for retirement pay, which I kind of think it sucks, my personal opinion. But hey, I'm just a host. It's all good. Now, many veterans choose to offset because disability payments are tax-free. In the 2003-2004 Defense Authorization Bill, Congress waived this offset in certain cases, and those with career-ending combat injuries or disability rating of 50% or higher could receive concurrent benefits, meaning that because of that new defense authorization from 2003 and 2004, certain veterans, who retired or had their military careers ended because of combat injuries from Operation Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, New Dawn, Freedom Sentinel, and so on and so forth, Operation or Task Force Horn of Africa, in support of, CENTCOM area of operations. This applies to you, so you can probably be able to get, both the retirement pay and the veterans disability pay if it's at least 50%. So I hope this is good news for some of you folks out there who this applies to. And of course, all the horrible stuff that goes on about the VA. We hear about a couple of years ago the appointment issue where a lot of veterans had died waiting for an appointment for urgent medical care, and that's simply irresponsible and outrageous. And I just can't describe how I feel about that, being a veteran and hearing these horror stories about the VA and the employees don't give a damn about us, and then all of a sudden somebody dies, and then nobody, and the folks that let it happen don't get punished for it. So I'm hoping this bit of information might be helpful. I hope it's the first step towards cleaning up the Veterans Administration and cleaning up the VA hospitals and medical centers and clinics, so on and so forth. Over the last several years, we've been hearing about these horror stories of inadequate care given by the VA hospitals and medical centers, as well as unnecessary deaths by our veterans because of long waits for appointments. On top of that, we hear about incompetent VA employees and leaders failing to do their jobs to provide adequate health care to our nation's veterans. From my personal experience, I've witnessed some of these VA parents that don't give a shit, excuse my French, or don't give a damn, and they're just drawing a paycheck and just occupying space in a VA position. And so, take heart, veterans. Relief has finally come for the beleaguered VA bureaucracy with the signing into law the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017, signed by our lovely President Donald J. Trump on 23 June. The specifics of this law include requiring the VA to evaluate supervisors based on protection of whistleblowers, conducting annual department-wide training on handling whistleblower complaints, shortening the time between when an employee is notified and be removed, demoted, or suspended from 30 calendar days to 15 business days. Personally, I think it should be 10 days or 5 days or 7 days. But hey, like I said, it's my opinion. And I just stick to the stuff. I just stick to that. Anyway, prohibiting getting a bonus for employees found guilty of wrongdoing, which I personally think they shouldn't get nothing if they've been found guilty of wrongdoing. Why in the heck they should get a bonus anyway, or any perks or incentives? But again, that's my opinion. And limiting the amount of time that VA employees can be placed on paid administrative leave while being investigated. For more information on this topic, just Google the word VA Whistle Accountability and Whistleblower Protection of 2017. And I pray that this new law will help clean up the cesspool of corruption and incompetency in the Department of Veteran Affairs. I'll keep my fingers crossed on that one, and I hope you too, my fellow veterans. I hope, like I said earlier, that this might be the first step in cleaning up the VA and give us more adequate care for us veterans, and also for our past veterans and for our future veterans. And the next topic is, I hope you heard about one of President Donald Trump's campaign pledges that, you know, he's going to set up a veterans complaint line in the White House. Well, it has finally come to fruition with the activation of the Veterans Complaint Line on 1 June. It's officially called the White House VA Veterans Complaint Hotline. It is answered 24 hours a day when fully manned and functioning this past August. So I'm hoping that it works. And this is another thing I'll keep my fingers crossed on. So it's supposed to be set up in the White House, but it's actually manned and answered by the VA central office in Washington, D.C., somewhere in one of their nice little government buildings somewhere, I hope. The basic goal for this hotline is for veterans to have the avenue to voice their concerns as well as complaints about the VA. And I know there's a lot of us that have a lot of complaints about the VA. So vets can check it out by calling 1-855-948-2311. Again, that's 1-855-948-2311, and have their complaints heard. Like I said, I hope we'll see about that. And like I said, I'll put that information, and this number will be on the website in case you didn't get it. So, well, I guess you heard about our favorite poster boy for transgender soldiers, Chelsea Manning. Of course, we all heard the story. We all know what he did. And we all have our opinions on what we think of this individual. And for transgender service members in general, and transgenders, LGBT, so on and so forth, I have my personal opinions. I prefer not to share it publicly because of my staunch views on certain things pertaining to the LGBT community. With that being said, we'll go back to the discussion here. Recently, he was invited at Harvard University to be a visiting fellow to speak about certain subjects and things like that. But unfortunately, there's been other people who weren't too happy about that and feel that Chelsea Manning doesn't deserve that honor as a visiting fellow. So another visiting fellow, a former military individual from the Department of Defense, he declined his invitation on that fact that Chelsea Manning received an invitation. And of course, the Harvard officials, they don't want to make a big stink about it, and they don't want it to cause any ruffling feathers. They decided to decline Chelsea Manning's invitation to be a visiting fellow at Harvard University there in Boston, Boston, Massachusetts. So, well, I guess that's a good thing. Depends on how you look at it. But he will still be invited to speak, on a particular subject, but not as a visiting fellow. And of course, if you haven't heard, or you already heard that before, when former President Barack Obama left office, he commuted his 35-year sentence for leaking classified information on WikiLeaks and all that good stuff. They computed it to time served, and he got released. But now that his conviction is currently going through an appeals process, so they have to bring the individual back on active duty while he's going through the appeals process. So basically, he's back in the Army as of right now. I have to check and see what the current status of that situation is. But, to each their own. And like I said, but he's been brought back in a non-paying status, so that's a good thing. Well, he's not drawing a paycheck and all that good stuff. So anyway, well, folks, we'll be right back for another break, and we'll be back with Veteran Speaks here on Black Rebel Radio. Never know what you're going to get. And I listen to Black Rebel Radio, and that is all I got to say about it. The dynamite. This is how bad. Welcome back, folks, to Veteran Speaks here on Black Rebel Radio. Like I said, I hope you like our first episode here. Like I said, I know it's not perfect, it's still a work in progress, and I'm continuing to fine tune this show. And again, this is one of several shows that are on Black Rebel Radio, which is an online radio channel that I've created to, entertain and educate my fellow Americans and all the citizens of the world with music, information, news, so on and so forth. And again, like I said, if you want to express your opinions, you can do it through email or you can send a video clip. Again, like I said, the website is Black Rebel Radio. Like I said, right above my head there's the email address at blackrebelradio@gmail.com. And like I said, the website is Black Rebel Radio, www.blackrebelradio.com. And I apologize for the image looking backwards. If you see this on a YouTube video, I apologize for that. I hope I can be able to fix it. But if I don't, then we're going to continue to march on and adapt and overcome, and we shall move forward. Now, I created this new segment called The Danger Zone. Well, actually, I kind of had a little theme music to tie into it, but I had a little technical difficulties. But on our next episode, hopefully I should have that resolved, and you'll get the idea of what I mean on this segment. The reason why I call this segment Danger Zone is that I would like to give shout outs to all our brothers and sisters in arms, all our fellow service members, contractors, and civilians who are currently serving in the combat zone. Okay. And those are currently deployed downrange and in harm's way, so for us Americans to enjoy the freedoms that we have, like I mentioned before. And there are some people they just take freedoms for granted. I don't want to get into a long spiel on that subject, but some people just don't understand. There's some people, because of those, like I said, it's barely 1% of the American population have volunteered to step up to the plate to protect the 99% of the rest of the American population. They have the right to, listen to whatever kind of music they want to listen to, be able to worship whatever God they choose to worship. They have the right to speak their minds, be able to speak vulgar, educated, clear, however it may be, and even have the right to smoke dope, smoke crack, sell drugs, prostitute, make rap music, whatever. A lot of people have those freedoms, but unfortunately there's some people just take those freedoms for granted, and you never know. It might be a situation where we might lose those freedoms. Of course, if you watch the news like I do, or see it on your phones, read the newspaper or whatever avenue you hear the news, there are organizations out there like ISIS, the Taliban, Al Qaeda, any other organizations, or probably some anti-government groups here in the United States. White supremacists, black panthers, brown panthers, La Raza, or whoever organization that wants to disturb what we hear, what we have, and what we enjoy here in the United States to promote their perverted agenda. Like I said, those kind of people, they have to be dealt with, But like I said, I want to continue to ramble on this. To get back to the heart of this, what I'm about to say here is that there's some people, take freedoms for granted, and there's people out there who are currently putting their life on the line in harm's way to make sure that we be able to enjoy the freedoms that we have. And we should thank them. Like I said, a lot of people feel like, you shouldn't hero worship or put them on a pedestal and stuff like that. To each their own, however you want to look at it. But still, always think about there's only barely 1% of the American population is doing the job of protecting the 99%, so that we can be able to enjoy the things that we like to do each and every day. On that note, I would like to dedicate this segment to all of my fellow brothers and sisters in the armed forces. They're currently serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Task Force Sinai in Egypt, and Task Force Horn of Africa in Djibouti. That's a little small country right between Ethiopia and Somalia. Like I say, if you're a geography nut like myself, you can look on a map and find where these places are. stuff like that. So I'd like to dedicate this segment to them, and also I'd like to dedicate this segment to all those who are currently stationed overseas in Germany, especially my former neck of the woods, Vilseck, Grafenwehr, Germany. Those stationed all over Europe, those in Italy, those stationed for NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. If you don't know what the NATO stands for, folks in the military, they probably know what it is, and trivia nuts like myself, they probably know too. So, and also currently serving in Japan, Guam, South Korea. Who right now, of course, you hear on the news about Kim Jong-un, the current leader of North Korea, and certifiably insane leader, of course, and that's my personal opinion again. And other remote locations, aircraft carriers and submarines all around the world. So I dedicate this segment to you folks. And if you want to give out a shout out, like I said, again, hit me up. Like I said, the email address is right above my head. Like I said, blackrebelradio@gmail.com. Like I said, if you want to give a personal shout out, or if you want me to give you a shout out, wherever you're located at, wherever you're stationed at, just give your name, your rank, and if you want to, your MOS. Like I said, I'm Army. I'm a 42 Alpha. For those who've been in the Army, they know what that is. That's Human Resources. I've been a desk jockey for over 11 and a half of my 15 years on active duty. Before that, I was in the Signal Corps. So, hoorah to the Signal folks. 25 Quebecs, 25 Romeos, and those MOSs. So, give a shout out to them. So, also, I want to give a special shout out to the 3rd Combat Aviation Brigade and the 3rd Sustainment Brigade out of Fort Stewart, Georgia, which is from my neck of the woods there, Hinesville, Georgia. I grew up around Fort Stewart. I used to work as a civilian out there at Fort Stewart. My mother was a civilian employee at the Wynn Army Community Hospital there at Fort Stewart for 19 years. So I want to give a shout out to them as they currently arrived in Afghanistan for their mission there to deal with the Taliban and ISIS. And also I want to give a shout out to the 2nd BCT of the 1st Armored Division out of Fort Bliss, Texas, who are currently rotating into Kuwait, for Spartan Shield to help be as a brigade-sized force to help deal with any issues out of Iraq with ISIS and all that good stuff. So I want to give a shout out to them. And also to my fellow veterans, if you want me to give you a shout out, or you want to give a shout out to somebody, or a fellow vet, or somebody of course, same thing, send me an email at blackrebelradio@gmail.com, or like I said, hit me up on Twitter with the hashtag blackrebelradio, and also, of course, on Facebook, look for Black Rebel Radio and leave a message there. I will definitely read it, and I'll definitely, honor your requests, because I'm a veteran also. And I love, looking out for the best interests of veterans. And this is the reason why I created this show, for that purpose. And also, there's another new segment, and I'm getting ready to wrap up this first episode of Veteran Speaks here on Black Rebel Radio. I call it my FYI segment. Like I said, I like to give friendly reminders on certain things. Like, for example, Veterans Crisis Line. Like I said, for all my fellow veterans, if you're struggling, suffering from depression, PTSD, or, have issues at home with your family, your wife, dog, cat, whatever the case may be, there's a place for you to go to, for free confidential support. Don't suffer in silence. There's somebody out there that cares for you, like I do, like me. There's some times I don't feel right. There's some days I act funky, and I might need somebody to talk to. So, like I say, don't suffer alone in silence. Call the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. And press 1. And, of course, for us, they got smartphones. Dial that same number. Send a text to 838255. Again, that's 838255. Or, like I said, if you don't want to be bothered with either one of those and you want to send it through email, You can check out the website, www.veteranscrisisline.net. Again, that's www.veteranscrisisline.net. Also, like I said, if you're looking for any assistance of any kind, shelter, food, financial, monetary assistance, or, mental health counseling or anything like that, there's some different avenues out there. Like I say, you can Google it and you can find tons of things out there. But you can go to www.military.com/veteran services. It'll give you a list of different agencies where you can go to address whatever issues that you're dealing with. Mental health services. If you're homeless, of course, you hear about the homeless situation, stuff like that. So, and also give you addresses and contact numbers for local, regional, and state VA veteran service offices where you live, stuff like that. So take advantage of that. Do what you got to do to help yourself get better. If you need assistance, put your pride aside, do what you got to do. Check out, some veteran services, stuff like that. Like I say, I have to use it sometimes. So, and also for our veterans who hasn't filed a VA disability claim, there's this new website. If you haven't heard of it, there's a website called eBenefits where you can go in and establish an account where you can start processing your VA disability claims. That's eBenefits. That's www.ebenefits.va.gov. Again, that's www.ebenefits.va.gov. And like I say, you can also Google that eBenefits for more information. Well, my fellow brothers and sisters, it's about time to wrap up my first episode of Veteran Speaks. And like I say, I hope you like this episode. Like I say, I know this is my first one. I might go over a few minutes over my allotted time. But like I said, I'm working on it and I will make it better. And like I said, this is an avenue for you, veterans. If you need somebody to talk to, if you need somebody to listen to, like I said, if you're having mental issues or whatever, don't suffer alone. Don't suffer in silence. I'm here to help as best as I can because there are days I need help. So don't be afraid. You have a friend here and I can help you, tell you what you need to do. And like I say, if you want to make a dedication or if you want to talk about a certain subject that pertains to veterans or any general topics in general, like I said, of course, hit me up on the email right above my head again at blackrebelradio.com, and also check out the website blackrebelradio.com where I have other shows that might pique your interest. Until next time, God bless, keep the faith, and thank you for your service. And remember, I got your back and I got your six. Peace, love. Go Army for my Army vets. Hooah to all veterans of all services. Take care.